Are you sick of buying things at the store that you don't necessarily have to buy at the store, but you're not quite sure how to make it at home for much cheaper? Well, let's talk about those things, because there's a lot of things that I make at home that I don't buy from the store, and I save a ton of money doing it. Or even if I'm not saving a ton of money, some of these things, it's just way more convenient that if I run out, I don't have to worry about putting it on the list and then going to the store to buy it and then buying extra stuff while I'm there. You know what I mean? So let's talk about 6 things that I make at home that save me money and time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the non-edibles first. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? Anyway, so one thing that I have made for myself for years is Eyeglass Cleaner. It's probably not that expensive to buy it, and you could probably buy a big old honkin' jug at the store, but I live, again, like I tell you all the time, I live a long ways out, and I've just developed this habit of refilling this jug because I just always have what I need on hand to make it. So what you need to make your own lens cleaner is simply just some isopropyl alcohol and some water and a couple drops of dish soap. I don't even actually add the dish soap in, and it works just fine. There's multiple different recipes. You can make it with witch hazel, you can make it with just dish soap and water. There's several other things out there. This is how I do it. In order to get this to work really well, you're gonna wanna put in just 3 parts alcohol and 1 part water, and then you can add a couple drops of dish soap in there if you want. I don't do it myself, but as I was researching this, to make sure that I was doing it the best possible way, using the best practices, I found that most people put that in there. So anyway, so it's just a matter of filling this up most of the way. There we go. Now I'm going to add, we're just going to add a little bit of water to top it off. And like I said, if you want, add dish soap. Personally, I don't. This is good for me. I have had the same bottle and I have refilled it. I would imagine I've refilled this bottle 60 times. I've probably had this for 8 years or better. I don't even remember buying it. It's been that long. And I haven't bought one since. And then of course I have like the little travel squirter, and I just refill my little travel squirter from this, and then I just keep this one topped off. There you go. Eyeglass cleaner. Then you just spritz your eyeglasses and then wipe it off with a nice like microfiber cloth or something that isn't gonna scratch your lenses. I use it on my phone and my tablet screens as well. Oh my. So just as I was recording this, my husband called, and we've had a lot of freezing going on, like negative temps, and now this week it's going above, so all that frost coming out of the ground, there's just mud everywhere. My husband was on his way home from a men's group thing, and he slid off the road. Darn it, slid off the road in the mud. We have a lot of dirt roads around here. Anyhow, okay, the second thing that we make at home around here, and this is a new thing for me, but it is magnesium oil. And the reason why I started making it is because I bought a jar of pre-made magnesium oil from a company on TikTok and to try it out, and I love it. It is something that I use nearly every single night. I spray it on the bottom of my feet, on my arms, on the inside of my thighs, on my tummy, on my chest, wherever it is. Basically the little thin areas of your skin so that it gets good contact. And it has helped me to go to sleep every single night that I've used it. So I'm a big fan of it. But as I started listening to my girlfriends, and they were saying like one of them, she has trouble sleeping. And then another one was she has headaches and muscle cramping and things like that. And so as I'm reading into magnesium and the benefits of having the proper magnesium levels in your body, is it helps with all of those things, like lots of stuff. I thought, well, I wonder if I can make this at home. And so I figured it out. So then I went ahead and I went back to the TikTok shop and I bought this giant bag, 6 pounds of magnesium chloride flakes, and figured out how to make it. Super easy. So let me show you. It's basically however much you want, you just do 1 to 1. So we're gonna do like 1 cup of distilled water and 1 cup of magnesium flakes. I'm gonna start warming up my pan. I'm gonna put just a cup of distilled water. Does it have to be distilled? Probably doesn't have to be. Is it best? Probably. I'm putting a cup of that in there, and then I'm gonna put, after this is nice and warm but not boiling, I'm gonna remove it from the heat, and then I'm gonna add 1 cup of the magnesium flakes. Forgive me if I I hope I'm not saying magnolia, because I feel like in my brain I'm saying magnolia instead of magnesium. Magnesium is the word. Anyhow, I'm gonna add 1 cup of flakes to the 1 cup of water that is nice and warm. And it's just, I just want it to be nice and warm enough that it's gonna melt these. And then once it cools and everything's melted and I've stirred it around and stuff, then I'm just gonna put it in a little jar like this, or any type of container. Preferably something that is colored, either amber or whatever, so that you can't see through it. It just kind of prolongs the benefits of the magnesium, is what they say. And then there you go. And then every night, you just put a little on the palm of your hand, and you just rub it into these, you know, areas of your body. Right here, inside of your thighs, inside of your arms. Good to go. Sorry, I had to shut those blinds. I feel like I'm just like one big shadow. So I have my lights, but it's not really working today so well. This is nice and warm. So now I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to add, this is just a 1/2 cup. Can't find my 1 cup scooper. This is the best part. Hold on. If you, watch this. Okay. 1 cup to 1 cup. But here's, so it sounds like glass. Let me see if I can get this up to you. Very cool. I'm just simply going to let this melt and then cool and then jar it up. Done. Magnesium oil. That's all it is. Now, if you want to add a little something extra to it, you could add some essential oils of lavender. Like I have some Peace here, which is a blend. Some more lavender. Eucalyptus. Frankincense. All of these things add their own little extra pizzazz. I want to wait until it's cool before I add the essential oils. So the internet says that magnesium, the benefits of magnesium is muscle relaxation, improved sleep, reduced anxiety and depression, increased energy level, improved bone health, relieves constipation. I would imagine if you rubbed it on your tummy, reduces inflammation. One thing about taking not taking magnesium, but using magnesium is they say that when it's absorbed through the skin, you really can't do too much, is what I'm told. But the biggest thing is that if you are deficient in magnesium, when you put it on your skin, you might get like this mild itching or burning feeling. And that is showing you that you are in fact deficient in magnesium, and your body is really working to absorb it and bring it in because it wants it and it needs it. If you want, you leave it on for about 20 minutes and then just wipe it off if that bothers you. When I first started taking it, it happened to me, and I just kind of barreled through it and just kind of whatever, and it goes away eventually, but that is totally up to you. So that's it. So, okay. So once this cools, you can add essential oils to it. You can use things like lavender. Obviously that is a calming scent that will help. It also has other benefits. There's also like eucalyptus or frankincense. Frankincense is really good for your skin. They all have their own certain properties that can help you with like antifungal and anti-inflammatory, all that kind of stuff. Relaxing, calming, all that. So whatever you'd like to add to it, or you just leave it as is, and it's good to go. And spray it on at night. All right, the next thing, not exactly the funnest one, but all this talk about Colgate and toothpaste and all these name brands of stuff that have all these terrible things in it. One thing that I used years ago, and I've kind of gotten back into doing, is the old peroxide and baking soda. So what I do is I have my toothbrush. I have some baking soda in this jar. I have a lid, a little bit of peroxide, a little bit of baking soda, and then we're just going to mix it around to make a paste. See, it's not much. You don't want to make too much. You just want to make just enough for your thing. When it touches your tongue, it's going to taste terrible. Peroxide doesn't taste good, neither does baking soda, but it will whiten and clean. And that's it. Simple and easy. If that's too much for you, because it's a pretty strong scent. You might be able to add, you know, a few drops, 1 or 2 drops of peppermint oil to make it taste a little bit better. So there you go. Baking soda, peroxide, and some mint essential oils will get you a really good natural toothpaste. Now, that's not for everybody though. That's a bit of an acquired taste, we'll say. Okay, so now the next thing is vanilla. I have wanted to make my own vanilla extract for a very long time, and I haven't for one reason. We don't drink in our house, and my husband is like, you're not going to the liquor store to buy liquor. And I'm like, really? Just for vanilla? And he's like, no. So one day I was talking to my friend, said, hey, how about I'll buy the vanilla beans, you buy the alcohol, we'll meet up and we'll make our own little batches. So that's what we did. And so this is what I have in here. And it's just super easy. And I researched this for so long because I was so confused on so many things, on how many beans, how many ounces, is it ounces or is it count of beans, or what if some beans are bigger and what if some, anyway, this is how I figured it out. One thing that is the most important thing when you're making vanilla extract is you need time. That's the most important thing. At least 6 months, ideally 12 months. Longer than that is just icing on the cake. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put 1 ounce of beans per 8 ounces of alcohol. Okay, and when I say alcohol, I mean like Everclear, vodka, bourbon, rum, brandy. The idea is it needs to be 70 to 100 proof alcohol, 35 to 50% alcohol by volume. Each alcohol is going to develop a different flavor of vanilla. Personally, we went with vodka. It's what I'm more used to, either a vodka or a tequila. I didn't mention tequila. I like a Mexican vanilla, which is probably made with more of tequila. And then the Mexican vanilla beans, although those are very expensive. So there are Ugandan, there's Tahitian, I think, vanilla beans. There's Madagascar, and there's Mexican vanilla beans. Different vanilla beans are going to be in a different price point. I settled on the Madagascar vanilla beans because they were the most moderate, and it said when you look up the flavor, it says it is the most common of what like the normal person is used to. That flavor is either Mexican or Madagascar vanilla beans is going to be most like what we're used to, and that's what I wanted. So that's what I went with. I had a lot of things that were stumping me like that. Where do I get them from? Like what country, and what alcohol do I use, and then how many do I put in, and all that. So let me just break it down and make it really simple. I chose Madagascar. I chose vodka. You can make it at different strengths. Now they call them folds: single fold, double fold, or triple fold. Basically, it just means that you're going to have 1 ounce of beans, a minimum of 1 ounce of beans per 8 ounces of alcohol for a single fold. If you want a double fold, you're going to double that. You're going to have 2 ounces at the same amount of alcohol. If you're going to have a triple fold, you're going to have 3 ounces of beans at the same amount of alcohol. You're just making it more stout. It's going to develop quicker. It's going to develop darker the more beans you put in it. Okay, now there is a legal qualification to vanilla extract. The FDA says that in order for it to qualify as actual vanilla extract, you need to have 13.35 ounces of vanilla beans per gallon of alcohol. So 1 gallon is 128 ounces. So if we were to divide that out, 16 beans would have to be used if we did in 8 individual 8-ounce jugs of this, right? Which is more than the 16. Hold on, no, that's 1 ounce. 16. This is very confusing to me. This is why I didn't make vanilla extract for so long, because it is so confusing. But here, okay. So if 128 ounces needs 13.35 ounces of vanilla bean, if you are putting 1 ounce of vanilla bean in an 8 ounce, if you were to stretch that out, that means that you would be using 16 ounces of vanilla beans over the course of 1 gallon. I think I got it now. Okay. So 0.84, we'll say 0.84 ounces of vanilla beans would be required per 8 ounces of alcohol in order for it to qualify as vanilla extract. Please tell me I did the math right, because my brain is hurting right now. So by us putting 1 whole ounce in for a single fold, that qualifies it by FDA standards to actually be vanilla extract. So you should be good. But then after that, it just becomes preference. Do you want it darker, faster? Do you want a more pronounced flavor, all that kind of stuff. And you can put, as long as you're putting at least 1 ounce of beans per 8 ounces of alcohol, you can put however many more you want. All right, but that's kind of their measurements: a single fold, double fold, triple fold. The thing that you want to do before you put it in there is you want to take each bean and you're going to cut it. You're going to take this bean and you are going to cut it long ways. Whoops. Okay. Now, split it open. I'm going to show you, this is the good stuff. They call it the caviar. You know when you eat vanilla bean ice cream? That's it right there. That is the actual seeds, the flavor, okay? And so you want to cut this open so that that stuff can come out of it. You can cut it in half. You can cut it into little pieces too. You can cut it this way, this way. But the most important thing is that you cut it open so that these things can get out. And then you're just going to drop it in there with your 8 ounces of alcohol and then put it in a location for up to 6 months, preferably a year. And it will darken, and you can see, I don't know if you can see there, but there are bits and pieces floating in there. And there is your vanilla extract. Done. Now, how about we do one more thing with vanilla and we make vanilla sugar. So vanilla sugar is very simple. See this bean that I just cut open? I'm going to take 1 cup of granulated sugar. I'm going to put it in a food processor of some sort, either my Magic Bullet or my little Ninja. I'm going to scrape out all the seeds and I'm going to add it to the sugar, and I'm going to pulse it like 10 or 12 times just to get everything blended in together. And then I'm going to seal it up in a jar. And then I'm going to take this bean that I've scraped all the insides out. I'm just going to tuck it up into that sugar and just let it sit in there to add a little bit more flavor. So very simple. So I'm just going to put 1 cup, half cup, all of these goodies. Okay, so vanilla, if you're actually shopping for pure vanilla extract or anything vanilla at the store, it's going to be expensive because vanilla tends to be very expensive. But for something that's expensive, this is a very inexpensive way to make it at home and save a bunch of money. If you are in the habit of buying and baking with vanilla, then this is a great way. This and the extract is a great way to do it for cheap. Oh, I hope this camera picks this up. Do you see all those little black flecks in there? That's it. That's exactly it. So the more you mix, the finer your sugar's gonna get. It's gonna turn into powdered sugar. So don't overmix it, but at the same time, get it blended in really well. They recommend 10 to 12 pulses. So on whichever mixer that's, whichever one works better or not. Okay, so now we have a jar. We're gonna add these vanilla beans in there. I'm gonna just tuck them down inside. I pulsed mine probably a little bit more than I wanted to, but. Now, what do we do with this now that we have vanilla sugar? Well, what do we do with that? Well, you can put it on toast. You can put it on top of pies, apple pies, any type of crumbles, cobblers. Put it in your coffee. Put it in your coffee is really good. And all sorts of things. Anything that you can think of that you would put sugar on, or something that vanilla sugar would sound good on, you can go ahead and do that. And it's a fantastic addition to your kitchen. And it'll step up all of your wonderful creations that you're making. So now, vanilla beans, where do you buy them? Well, there's a lot of places online. Check the reviews. Make sure that you're buying from a reputable place. Look at the different manufacturing or growing countries, and it'll tell you exactly kind of if it has more floral notes or more spicy notes, things like that. And maybe you want something a little bit different than Mexican or Madagascar. Or maybe you just want to try it out and you don't want to spend a lot of money, so you're going to start out with Uganda vanilla beans that costs a little bit less money, just to see if it's worth you doing an effort. But check the reviews, because beans vary a great deal. There's grade A, there's grade B. You can make vanilla extract with either one. The thing is, basically, I think, is grade A, they're plumper, they have more moisture, and they're just fresher. A grade B is a little bit more dehydrated, just a little more dried out. So depending on what you're making with your vanilla beans, you want to make sure that you're getting the correct grade. I bought grade A because I wanted to make sure that I was getting the best possible results from my first time. But I think grade B would probably work just the same, because it sits there and you're rehydrating them in this alcohol for 12 months. So I think it could be. To give you an idea of the cost of things, like I said, $38 for 50 beans. I used about 10 in this jar. I could have gone a lot stronger with this. I don't know if you can see how clear that is. I could probably have done a double fold and been much happier on this one, but remember to slice them open before you put them in this jar with the vodka or whatever alcohol you choose. The other thing that I'm going to go over is taco seasoning. I make my own taco seasoning all the time. I have done that forever and ever and ever because I do not necessarily love the flavor of cumin, and cumin is an ingredient in here, so I like to be able to manage the amount that I put in here. So, but you can do whatever. But let me just read you. These are some basic things that you're going to put in here. You're going to put in chili powder, salt, cumin, garlic, all granulated, garlic, onion, oregano, coriander, which is cilantro, and some black pepper. This is the taco seasoning that I do. I do a tablespoon of chili powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 1.5 or less teaspoons of cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, a little oregano. Sometimes I don't do that. A teaspoon of sea salt, half of a teaspoon of ground pepper, and a half teaspoon of cayenne, more or less for the flavor. So I can put in crushed red pepper flakes instead of the cayenne, just having the cayenne pepper. These are things that I made last year from my cayenne peppers that I grew. I made my own cayenne pepper powder, which was basically, I just dehydrated them until they were completely dried. And then I seeded them, pulled all the seeds out, and then I ground them up, not including the stems. And this is what you get. Basically, it's just all the skins of the cayenne pepper. And then here is the red pepper flakes, cayenne pepper flakes, that I pulled out of those very same peppers from my garden. And these are two things that I use, cayenne pepper powder and cayenne pepper flake. You can use both of these things in that homemade taco seasoning. And then you just put it in a big jar like this. And I should have cute little labels. Like these all have cute little labels, vanilla extract, baking soda, you know. I don't know why. This is probably the one that I've had the longest, but this is my label. That's my label to remind me that this is taco seasoning and not chili seasoning. But it works. Someday I'll put something on the outside of this jar, but I keep it right on top of my stove. I eat the same thing over and over and over very often, and that thing is burritos. Hamburger, ground beef, burritos. Okay, so another thing, chili seasoning. And before you use these seasonings, make sure you shake them up because you'll notice that some of these bigger things will settle to the top. Chili seasoning, you can make that by doing 2 tablespoons chili powder, some garlic powder, again a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a half a teaspoon of thyme. So they're very similar, but yet just different enough that they're gonna give you a lot different flavor. There's so many things, and there's recipes all over the internet for how you make this thing. Here's what I do in order to save the money and be ready to be able to do the stuff, okay? Let me show you behind the curtain. This is one of my spice cabinets, okay? Along with my medicine cabinet. I like to get big containers of stuff, right? And then once I use these containers, I hang on to them. These were on sale, so I went ahead and just got my own Italian seasoning thing, and then I'll hang on to this container, and then I will do my new mixes in these containers. Does that make sense? Here's that dehydrated sourdough. But this is a big kicker. Oregano, huge jar. $5. Minced onion, huge jar. Cilantro, $5. More oregano because I thought I didn't have any. Chives, parsley. So, I mean, you get the idea. Like whenever I see large jars of stuff that I know I can use to make a blend, I'm gonna buy big jars of it. And then I'm gonna bring it home. And I mean, there's ground coriander, which is cilantro seeds. The one thing that you wanna be careful of is if you're buying these really big things that you want to, I mean, they're dried, but you want to keep them as fresh as you can for as long as you can. So don't overbuy, but at the same time, if you want to come home and make up a whole bunch of seasonings of things that you know you're going to use a lot of. And the thing is that when you're cooking home cooked meals, you're going to use a lot more seasonings than if you are cooking processed food. Because things that you just bring home and you heat up, you warm up, you pop in the oven, they already have a whole bunch of stuff in them. So when you're cooking all of your raw food, raw meat, raw vegetables, you're gonna use more seasonings than you normally would. One example of that is Acre Homestead, Becky over there. Love her, man, that woman can cook. But it's hilarious. When I first started watching her, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? This is like years ago when she was like, she first did her first potato garden, did her first little thingies. I thought, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. There's nobody on this green earth that uses this much seasonings in their dishes. But she was cooking from raw ingredients, from basic stuff. So yeah, she used a lot of flavors. And so the more I cook from ingredients, the more I find out that this stuff is, you're going to go through it. So it may seem like a lot, but it's not as much as you think. Okay, so that pretty much ends all the tips. I mean, if you want to look up all the different seasonings and try out ones, because everybody's going to have a little different flair of what they like. Like, I don't like as much cumin, so I'm not going to want to make just a standard off the internet taco seasoning or chili seasoning recipe. I'm going to lighten my amount of cumin that I put in it, you know. So my poultry seasoning, I don't love rosemary. Some people are going to put more rosemary in their blends. I don't like rosemary, so I'm not going to put as much in it, right? So things like that. Consider that when you're mixing these blends up. Make them make them personalized to what you actually like so that you use them and that the food comes out tasting the way that you want it to taste. So if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to know the kind of things that you make at home. What do you do to save money? I mean, anything and everything helps at this point. So, but please like, subscribe, follow me along. I love putting this stuff out here. I love sharing the things that I've discovered. Some of it is just absolutely not rocket science, but at the same time, it's stuff that I didn't know and I've just learned over these years, and I just want to share it with the world. So let's build a community here where we can share all of these wonderful ideas and things to make life just a little bit easier and a little bit affordable. Have a great day.